Hello chess friends and welcome to the round 6 of the World Championship match from 1916 between Botvinnik and Tal. Before this game, a result in the match was 3 points for Tal and 2 points for Botvinnik. So Botvinnik started this game with the move c4. This is the first time in this match he's playing c4. In the previous two games he played d4. So c4, knight f6, knight f3 and g6 was played. So g3, bishop to g7, bishop to g2, and then castle, d4, d6. So this is the main line of the King's Indian. Knight c3, knight b d7, castle, and e5, e4, c6, h3, queen to b6, and d5. All these moves are main line of the King's Indian classic line. So c takes d5, Tal played, and after that Botvinnik plays c takes d5. There was an attractive line with knight takes d5, which looks very good at the first view because he's attacking queen. He opened the d file for his queen, and he can target the pawn on d6 square. But there is one forced line. Knight takes d5, queen takes d5, knight to c5, which pretend to develop bishop from c8 square to e6 to kick out the queen, and after that he's attacking pawns on the square c4 and e4. So if white goes with the bishop e3, bishop to e6, queen to d2, so black can take some material here on the c4, so we can play this one. But after that white can start with some sort of dangerous moves like a rook from f to d1, which pretend to take the pawn on d6 square, or to push b4 and take the piece. But if he doesn't take immediately, he can play queen to a6, increase the pressure on the c4, and also he's attacking e4 with his knight from c5 square. So after that maybe bishop takes, and when d takes, b3, rook a d8, and queen c2. That's almost forced line, and black looks slightly better here because he's playing with the two bishops and he's controlling d file. So that did not happen in the game, and white in this position, white takes with the pawn, c takes d5, after that knight to c5, knight goes to e1. Idea is to open maybe f4, f5 and play f4, or transpose the knight over e1 square to d3. So bishop to d7, knight d3 was played, knight takes d3, queen takes d3, and it's very good that this knight is standing on c3 because he's covering square b5. There is no move bishop to b5, so rook fc8 was played, and rook b1. Idea of the move rook b1 was to defend pawn on b2, and after that develop bishop on square e3. So knight to h5, bishop to e3 attacks the queen, queen goes to b4. There was also an option to move queen back on square c7 or d8, but that was not the idea of Tal. So queen looks very good on b4, and white cannot kick out the queen. There is no move a3 because queen can go on b3 and black is still good. So queen e2 was played. After that rook goes c4, increase the pressure on e4, and he pretend to make a double rooks on the c file. So rook fc1 was played, rook ac8, king goes to h2, and f5. So black starts some attack on the king side with f5 moves. So e takes f5, and then bishop takes f5. This bishop is very good. He's controlling light squares, and he's standing on a very good diagonal. So rook goes back to a1, and after that Tal surprised everyone with the next move. That move was knight to f4. So he sacrificed that knight with one very interesting idea. So g takes f4. After that e takes f4. This bishop is under attack, so bishop goes back to d2, and after that queen takes pawn on b2. So we can see that right now white is a piece up, but if you try to trap the queen with, for example, which he played, or rook to b1 attacks the queen, then if the black takes on b1, that's not so good solution, because a rook takes b1 still attacks the queen, and queen can choose between a3 and c2 squares. So for example, if queen goes to a3, he can play knight to b5, attacks the queen. If the queen goes back, then queen give a check on e6, and after king moves in the corner on h8 square, then knight goes to d6 and the threat to take a rook, or to give a mate with idea knight give a check on f7. After that, knight goes to h6 and sacrifice queen g8 with the move back knight to f7, which is a mate. So instead of that, if you try to play queen to c2, then go bishop to e4, and after f3 queen e1, and this queen is trapped. So after rook a b1, he played f3, also attacks the queen, and e2, and after white takes the queen, f takes e2, rook goes back to b3. Generally, idea for black is to somehow promote the pawn on e1 if that is possible, but that's the real threat, because he can sacrifice everything on c3 and after that try to promote. So he played rook to d4, attacks the bishop, bishop goes to e1, and after that bishop to e5, give a check, king goes to g1, bishop to f4, attacks the rook. So that's a very good transposing of the bishop from g7 square to e5, and after that to f4. So this is a good position for a bishop. And after that, you could play rook to a1 to save the rook, but after that it's immediately waiting for a tile when he sacrificed the rook on c3. So if the rook takes back, then rook d1, and it's completely winning position, because he cannot take on d1. Black will promote the queen on d1 square, and whatever he try, black will take the rook on the square a1. So after move bishop to f4, knight takes e2, takes the pawn, and open the c file. So rook takes c1, knight takes d4, and rook takes e1 with the check. So now it's material balance. So bishop goes to f1, and bishop to e4 was played. Knight to e2 attacks the bishop, bishop goes back e5, after f4 bishop to f6, and then rook takes b7. It looks that position is equal, but black looks much better, because his bishops are controlling a lot of squares, and he can easily take the pawn on d5, and he already pinned the king here and the bishop on f1 square. So bishop takes d5, attacks the rook, and rook goes to c7. Rook cannot take the pawn on a7, because this rook from e1 can be sacrificed on e2, and after bishop takes, bishop give a check on d4 and take a rook. So that would be position with the piece up for black. So after bishop takes on d5, rook c7, and now bishop takes pawn on a7. Now white is able to take on a7, because black cannot sacrifice on e2, just because of the move rook a8. It's a move in between, it's a check, so black cannot give a check and take the rook on a7, so it doesn't work. White will just take on e2, and white will be up for exchange. So rook a7, bishop to c4 was played, rook to a8, give a check, king f7, rook a7, give a check, king goes to e6, rook to a3 was played. After that d5, it's time to push pawn, so king f2, bishop give a check, and also defend the rook, so king to g2, king to d6, and knight to g3. After that move, black decided to reduce material and take with the bishop on g3. After that, bishop takes c4, d takes c4, and king takes g3. So obviously it's completely winning position for black, and after that he goes with the king to support the pawn. King to d5, rook a7, the idea to give some check from behind or take the pawn on h7. So Tal played c3, and after rook to c7, king to d4, and in this position Botvinnik resigned. After this game, result in the match was 4 for Tal and 2 for Botvinnik. So I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Bye bye.